Religion doesn't land on the mind like a single truth. It lands like weather. For some people, it becomes shelter. For others, it becomes pressure. So the real question isn't whether religion is good or bad. The real question is, what is it doing to your nervous system every day? Because the same word can feel like safety to one person and like a heavy door locking behind them to another. This topic feels dangerous because it touches identity, not just beliefs, belonging. If religion helped you survive once, your brain treats it like a life raft, and life rafts feel sacred. Even when they start leaking, even when they stop keeping you afloat, some people stay loyal to a tradition because it genuinely calms them. It gives them meaning, structure, a way to hold grief without falling apart, but others stay loyal for quieter reason. To avoid disappointing family, to avoid being labeled, to avoid the look someone gives you when you ask one honest question. That's the trap. Confusing peace with obedience. Confusing I'm okay with I'm silent. And when your emotional survival depends on staying approved, you don't heal, you perform. So if you feel anxious, you're told you're not faithful enough. If you feel sad, you're told you're ungrateful. If you feel angry, you're told you're rebellious, and slowly, you learn to hide your fear instead of healing it. But the mind doesn't heal in hiding. It heals in safety where truth doesn't get punished. The villain isn't faith. The villain is what happens when faith turns into a courtroom. Because judgment and exclusion don't build character, they build hypervigilance. When you're constantly scanning yourself for wrongness, anxiety becomes a lifestyle. You start monitoring your thoughts like they're evidence. For some people, guilt becomes chronic. Every mistake feels dangerous. Every normal impulse feels suspicious. That can spiral into scrupulosity, a painful form of anxiety where you obsess over whether you sinned, whether you meant the wrong thing, whether you're one mistake away from rejection. And then there's spiritual bypass when someone says, just pray to avoid real pain. Not because prayer is bad. Prayer can be powerful, but avoidance can wear a halo when it's socially rewarded. So people skip the hard work of reflection, repair, and emotional processing and call it virtue. And untreated pain doesn't disappear. It gets translated into the body, into sleep problems, into panic, into numbness. A person can look fine on the outside while living in a private storm on the inside. Psychology has a simple lens here. When belief is intrinsic, internal, chosen, lived quietly, it often stabilizes people. It gives purpose. It reduces existential dread. It gives suffering a frame so it feels less random and less humiliating. Rituals can regulate the nervous system. Prayer, reflection, sacred reading, meditation, these can slow the stress response the way steady breathing does. Repetitive, grounding, centering, and community can be protective. A real sense of belonging can guard against loneliness, and loneliness is one of the deepest amplifiers of mental distress. But when belief becomes extrinsic, performed for approval, status, or fear, mental health becomes fragile. Because your peace depends on someone else's validation, your worth becomes a moving target, and your inner world becomes a performance review. Same building, same words, different emotional physics. So the outcome isn't about religion alone. It's about how it's practiced and whether you still have autonomy. Here's the core lesson, and we're going to say it in different ways because your mind learns through repetition. Religion can be an anchor, or it can be a weight. Religion is a tool. A tool can build a home or tighten a cage. What matters is what it builds inside you. Ask your body. After religious conversations, after religious spaces, do you feel calmer or smaller? Do you breathe deeper? Or hold your breath? Because the nervous system doesn't lie. It reacts before you can explain. When belief gives meaning, stress becomes more survivable. You can endure hardship without collapsing into despair. You can grieve without feeling abandoned by existence. But when belief gives fear, life becomes a test you can never finish. And you start living like you're always one step away from failing. Notice the difference between guidance and control. Guidance expands you. Control shrinks you. Healthy community says you belong while you grow. It makes room for questions. It makes room for struggle. It makes room for being human. Unhealthy community says you belong only if you comply. Only if you act right. Only if you sound right. Only if you never disrupt the image. One reduces loneliness. The other manufactures it quietly, systematically, because you feel surrounded and still unsafe. Now look at guilt. Healthy faith can create responsibility. I did something wrong, so I can repair. That's action. That's maturity. That's movement. Unhealthy faith creates contamination. I am wrong. I am bad. I am unclean. And contamination doesn't lead to growth. It leads to panic. It leads to hiding. It leads to compulsive reassurance seeking. This is where many people break. Not because they lack belief, but because they're drowning in self-surveillance. And yes, prayer can be a support. It can be a calm place inside a loud world. But prayed away can become a way to silence emotions, a way to avoid therapy, a way to avoid accountability, a way to avoid the hard conversation that would actually heal the relationship. Real strength is not denial. Real strength is honest feeling, then wise response. So let's repeat it again cleanly. Religion helps when it creates meaning, safety, and connection. Religion harms when it creates fear, shame, and control. And this is important. It doesn't have to be all one thing. You can keep what heals you. You can set boundaries with what harms you. You can believe deeply and still protect your mental health. You can be spiritual and still take therapy seriously. You can pray and also learn emotional regulation. You can fast and also learn nervous system care. You can have faith and still ask for help. Because the goal isn't to win a debate. The goal is inner stability. A life that feels steady on the inside, not just respectable on the outside. Here's the seal. A belief is healthy when it helps you become more honest, more grounded, and more compassionate without constant fear. A belief is harmful when it makes you panic over being human. So ask one question this week, quietly, without drama. Does this practice reduce my inner chaos or increase it? If it reduces chaos, keep it. If it increases fear, adjust it. Add boundaries, add support. Talk to someone safe. Get professional help if you need it. Peace should feel like breathing, not like begging. Imagine 2 rooms. One is a sanctuary. You're seen, guided, and allowed to heal. The other is a courtroom. You're watched, judged, and never sure you're enough. Both rooms can use the same holy words. But only one room protects the mind. Choose the room that lets you breathe, and if needed, build that room inside yourself.